The Detroit Lions will go on the road and get another big victory, and they have moved to 7-2. I don't even remember the last time the Lions had a record this good or even looked this good in general. Defensively, definitely a lot that we can improve on. I mean, that was defensively was pretty brutal, to be honest. The referees were not in our favor, but this video is not even to talk about the Chargers game that just went down. This is to talk about why I think the Detroit Lions can be the 1 seed in the playoffs this year, and I'm going to explain to you every reason why. Starting with reason number 1. The Detroit Lions have, I think, one of the 3 easiest remaining schedules. Starting with our first game against the Chicago Bears, that should be a win. There's no debate about that. At home against the Chicago Bears, 100% expecting a win there. I wouldn't expect anything else, but we'll see what happens. Got a lot of confidence. And then it's Thanksgiving against the Packers. Again, this is a game that should be a pretty easy win. We went into Lambeau and we stomped on them. We should be able to do it at home. I'm feeling good about that game as well. That should be 2 wins. That should be 9-2 on the season at that point. After that, though, that's where it starts to get a little harder. This is probably the second hardest remaining game in our schedule in New Orleans. I'm expecting a win here, but I would not be surprised if we lost. It's in New Orleans. Saints are okay. They're definitely not great this year. Right now, I'll probably take that as a win, though. At Bears in Week 14, this one, being in a road game, Soldier Field's a hard place to win. I really don't care. I think that this should be a win no matter what. It's the Chicago Bears. They're pretty terrible. I'm expecting a win. We'll see what happens. And then at home against the Broncos, I'm pretty confident with this game. I kind of have been, the whole year. Beginning of the year, I kind of treated it differently. I kind of thought maybe I thought the Broncos would go 9-8 this year. I'm just going to be honest, but this should be a win at home, especially. And then we're going to be in Minnesota. This game right here will more than likely, I wouldn't say more than likely, but I would say there's a really good chance it determines who wins the division. I mean, if we win that game, I don't see how we would lose the division. That game right there is going to be huge. We're going to need to win that. I'll probably take us in that game as well. And then in Dallas, I'm going to count this as a loss. I'm just going to be honest. I've looked at it as a loss the whole year. I think it's probably the hardest game in our schedule. That, the Chiefs, and the Ravens, I thought were. But I'll probably go Cowboys there. And then it's going to be at home against the Vikings again. That game could also, depending on how the first one goes, this game could determine who wins the division. I'm going to talk more about the Vikings later on because I don't really buy into them. I don't think they're going to be that great. I don't think they're going to compete for the division, but that's going to be a big game, so we need to win it. So reason number 2 is going to be the remaining schedules for the rest of the NFC contenders, which is just the Niners and Eagles for me. So starting with the Eagles' remaining schedule, just look at it. I mean, in Kansas City, I'm going to mark that as a loss. Home against Buffalo, we're going to need Buffalo to win that, but I would probably take the Eagles in that. Home against the Niners, it's going to be a tough one. I'll probably go Eagles there. We're going to need Niners to win that. At Dallas, I'm going to go Dallas there. And then at Seattle, that could also be a toss-up, but I would 100% expect the Eagles to win that. And I'm fine with them winning that because I hate Seattle anyway. So, yeah, I mean, that should be at least, I would say, 3, possibly 4 losses. Worst case scenario, they lose 2, go 14-3. Hopefully we go 14-3, and we can at least have a better divisional record. If we go 2-0 against Minnesota and they lose to Dallas, we would have the better divisional record, which would put us at the 1 seed. So as long as they win it, as long as they lose at least 2 of those, one of those being in Dallas, and we can win out and maybe lose to the Cowboys, and that's it. That's what we need. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the 49ers remaining schedule as well. Their schedule, I mean, same thing. It's pretty tough. I mean, versus Tampa, that should be a win. In Seattle, they have owned Seattle these last couple years. I'm gonna trust the Niners both times against Seattle. Now in Seattle, definitely could go either way. I'm probably gonna take Niners. In Philly, like I said, we need the Eagles, or we need the Niners to win that, but that's gonna be a tough one. And you gotta remember the Niners already have 3 losses too. And they're gonna be home against Baltimore, and Lamar Jackson against NFC opponents, he just destroys them every year. I'll probably take Ravens in that, even being in Baltimore. And then hopefully, in Washington, maybe the 49ers will rest their starters and Washington can get a nice win, because Washington's been tough this year. They've been really good. So it's looking like maybe 13-4, 12-5 at worst for the Niners, which that's fine. That's probably, honestly, it's probably a 3 seed after the Lions just beat the Chargers. Now we have reason number 3, which is the weak NFC North. I know a lot of people are worried about the Minnesota Vikings, right? They're sitting at 6-4. Everyone's like, oh my gosh. You know what? They have Josh Dobbs at quarterback, and sure, he's looked good. I'll give it. I mean, he has looked terrific, but I'm not worried about that at all. You guys have to understand that right now, after beating the Chargers, the Lions' floor is like 13-4, maybe 12-5 at worst. And I don't think the Vikings are going to win every single game the rest of the season. If we lose 2 more games, we'll be 13-4. And that means the Vikings would have to win every single game. That means they'd have to win in Cincy and in Detroit. Even if we lose one, they would still have to win in Cincy and in Detroit in order to win the division. It's not going to happen. We got this division. I would say there's still a 90% chance we win this division. I think the Vikings are going to struggle. I still think they could lose in Denver or in Vegas as well. Those are 2 games that I could see losing. Vegas has looked pretty solid. I'm really hoping they can get a win over them, but I'm not worried about the Vikings in the slightest. Sure, 6-4 scares me a little. We're fine. Here's the remaining schedule. So like I said, in Denver, that's this coming week, Sunday Night Football. Need Denver. That one, I think I'll probably. I think they might lose that, and then they're gonna be home against Chicago. Easy win. In Vegas, not the easiest of wins, and then after that, in Cincy, I'm taking Cincy. And then you got home against Detroit. I hope we win that. I think we will. Home against the Packers, which should be a win, and then they're in Detroit. So, and then reason 4, we're getting healthier. We're gonna be healthier by the end of the season. Obviously, this bye week has really helped us, but we got guys like this coming back. James Houston, who we're just missing that guy on the opposite side of Hutch. He has been pretty, not going to lie, he's been kind of non-existent the last few weeks. Sure, he's still getting pressures. The last 4 or 5 games, I really haven't heard his name called at all. He hasn't gotten any sacks, and he had 5.5 sacks through, I think, the first 5 games, and he was looking like Defensive Player of the Year candidate easily. He's fallen off a little bit. We need Hutch to get back and do what he used to do. We need him to be great. We need him to be good again. And then getting James Houston back would be awesome. And then you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who I'm predicting to come back by week 16. There's really no word on when exactly he will return. I'm thinking at least by playoffs. I'm going to predict week 16 that he comes back. And boy, could we use a guy like him in that secondary, because defensively, we do not look great. We need to get better defensively, and that's that. That's really the only thing. I mean, this offense has been amazing now that we're like almost fully healthy and just missing Vaitai, who right there, once we get him back as well, it's going to be awesome. So other than that, very impressed with this team. Just keep getting healthier, and hopefully we stay healthy by the end of the season. And then we have the last reason, stock rising players, guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, who, if you were upset with the Jahmyr Gibbs pick at the start of the 2023 NFL draft, man, I laugh at guys like you, because Jahmyr Gibbs was my favorite player in college. I knew whatever team he'd go to, he would be one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL at some point. And as of right now, he's better than Bijan Robinson, even if Bijan might have more yards. Jahmyr Gibbs is completely more dynamic, and I just think if you put him on a team that can use him right, which Jahmyr Gibbs is getting used right finally, which makes me so happy to see, even with David Montgomery back, him getting the usage that he deserves. And that's what really made me happy in that win against the Chargers, is that he not only looked great in the run game, but in the pass game as well. It just made me happy seeing us use Jahmyr Gibbs, even with David Montgomery back. And David Montgomery planted a 75-yard run as well. I mean, he looked amazing. Jahmyr Gibbs, stock rising. And then you got this guy who we are still waiting just to kind of see him unleash. And this is something that just didn't sit right with me. That horrible call and that touchdown that he had in the Chargers. I'm so pissed about that. It just pisses me off. It happened last year in Lambeau as well. Just feel bad for the kid. I mean, he should have at least 4 touchdowns right now, which is insane, because he only has like 10 catches in his career. When you look at it like that, I mean, this dude, every time he touches the ball, it's a big play waiting to happen. And that's why I'm just not understanding why we're not targeting this guy more. Is there something deeper that like we just don't understand or don't know? Or is it just that they're not targeting him, and maybe they're waiting to use him in the playoffs? Maybe they're waiting to break him out in a time like, against the Vikings or something like that. It could be that. Really don't know. And obviously there's the one in Lambeau last year, but it sucked that he had, I don't know how long it was it like 70 yards? He had a huge play, and it sucked that he wasn't able to have that count. It just sucked that didn't count. It really sucked. And then you have Alex Anzalone, who is having by far the best year of his career. I mean, you want to talk about unsung hero, this guy, between him, Cam Sutton, and maybe Jerry Jacobs as well. Those 3 have been holding this defense down. I know the defense didn't look great in this game against the Chargers, but man, you got to remember the Chargers have a top 5 offense, and we need to get our defense fixed, obviously. Secondary was pretty brutal. And other than that, I mean, Alex Anzalone's been terrific this year, and that's that. So, been very impressed with him, and hopefully he continues to play well. So, that really wraps it up. I want to hear everything that you guys, think, what you guys thought about the Chargers game as well. That was an awesome win. Riley Patterson, credit to you for kicking that game winner. Offense looked amazing. Defense did not. Defense needs to step up. I still have confidence in them, but, man, they did not look good. I was really hoping they would show up. They did at first, the whole first quarter, and then after that, they kind of lost it. So, let me know what you guys thought of the game, and let me know what you thought of this video. What seed do you think the Lions are going to have? I'm predicting at least a 2 seed. Right now, I'm 50-50 on the 1 or 2 seed. I think there's a good chance, especially after winning the Chargers game that I didn't think we'd win. So let's hope we can keep it up, keep rolling. Go Lions, baby. See you next time.